Yeah, I can do the gesture.
Cigar City Radio.
Cigar City
City Radio. Radio. Okay.
Welcome to Cigar City Radio, episode number 39. I'm your host, Randy Ojeda, and making the magic happen, Mr. Jason Solanez.
Randy, I want to make a movie.
What kind of movie?
It's called...
No, I'm going to veto that right now.
No, it's a Christmas musical.
I don't want to know any... No.
How can you veto a Christmas musical?
Your pitch is done. That a cappella serenade you just heard was by none other than Fruit and Flowers, who are releasing their debut EP, Drug Tax, this Friday via Little Dickman Records. You can pre-order that record today or buy it if you're listening to this in the future. You can buy it via the Little Dickman Records Bandcamp. You can also stream the album anywhere you go, Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music, wherever you listen to music. If you're listening to this really far in the future and something is created that I haven't said yet, if Tesla's new streaming service is the Bomb Daddy streaming service, listen to it on Tesla's streaming service. Their currently non-existent streaming service. All right, I'm going too far off on a tangent, but you know what to do. Fruit and Flowers, new album Drug Tax this Friday. They did that lovely serenade for us. Their album has even crazier. their album has even more impressive harmonies and amazing songs. It's one of my favorite records of the year, and I'm totally biased, but I'm also 100% honest. So go check it out. Attention all planets of the Solar Federation. The Fantastic Plastics are on this summer's Vans Warped Tour. There are stops all across the country, including 3 shows in Florida, June 30th in Orlando, July 1st in Tampa, and July 2nd in West Palm Beach. Cigar City Radio will be on site for the July 1st show at Vinoy Park. We'll be hanging out with the Fantastic Plastics all day, as well as talking with other bands on Vans Warped Tour. So if you want to come hang with us, advance tickets are still available at vanswarpedtour.com. In the meantime, listen to the Fantastic Plastics on Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music, and everywhere else today, because the future of the future is now.
Our guest on this episode is Riley Breckenridge, drummer for the post-hardcore band Thrice, and co-host of the baseball podcast Productive Outs. Thrice is currently on tour with Rise Against and Deftones, and we had a chance to sit down with Riley before the band's show at the Forward 1-800-ASK-GARY Live Nation Mid-Florida Credit Union Amphitheater. You can listen to Thrice's new single, Sea Change, wherever you get your music. But for tour dates, merch, and more, head to thrice.net.
So here it is, episode number 39. But anyways, we're hanging out with Riley Breckenridge, a quarter of Thrice.
Yep.
One of the great bands of our day,
Thank you.
I'll have to say. The band started in 1998, right? So we're coming on almost 20 years of Thrice.
Yeah, that's insane.
That, isn't it?
Yeah, even with a little 3-year hiatus wedged in there, that we've been able to do this for 20 years is nuts to me.
Yeah, it's awesome to see a band with that kind of longevity.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, we're kind of doing as well as we've ever done as a band as far as like fan turnout at shows and what makes up like a good number of sales for a record now is a lot different than it was in like 2003, but like record sales are going good. Like the vibe is good within the band. So it's like, it's awesome.
Yeah, and people are really excited. Like I could tell, when we teased that this episode was happening, we had a bunch of people write in with like, "Oh, you got to ask him this and you got to say that." So we'll have some listener questions at the end.
Oh,
but
cool.
It's just cool to see that the fans are like really still into it and love what you guys are doing.
Yeah, we're thankful for that. You never know. I mean, you take a break, and with how short people's attention spans are now, like I thought maybe they'd forgotten about us or stopped caring, but the support we've gotten has been incredible.
Yeah.
Especially for the new stuff too. It's been really cool.
Yeah, when we pulled up, we saw a group of kids standing in the Florida heat, sun, no shade, at the gate, waiting to come in.
Lunatics.
Absolute
Lunatics. I can't even be outside for more than like 5 minutes here.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. It's rough. It's rough out here.
Yeah.
It's the middle of June, and it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, yesterday was the longest day of the year.
Oh,
so this is
man.
the hottest part of the year, literally.
Oh my gosh.
It's no good.
Yeah, I'm trying to run on this tour to stay in shape, and then we got out here, and I was just like,
You could literally die.
screw that. I think I'll take a break.
Yeah. Take a couple cheat days, couple days off.
I look at my phone to check the weather, and it's just like, don't run.
Yeah, don't even go outside. It's
No
inter-
temperature.
Yeah. It's interesting because I lived in Chicago for a few years, and it's like the opposite lifestyle. It's like here we all go out in the winter and we stay shut during the summer, but
Right.
over there it's like everybody's
Yeah.
in all winter. You talked about you guys took a couple year break, but it sounds like for you didn't take much of a break, right? Like you were involved. You were teching for like Weezer and. Also doing your podcast, your baseball podcast.
Yeah.
And what were you up to those years?
I kind of hopped all over the place. Like when we first announced that we were going to take a break, I was like, okay, well, maybe this is like a signal to me that I need to stop being in a band and I need to stop touring. Wasn't what I wanted to do, but I felt like it was a sign. So I kind of, to keep myself afloat, I took a job teching for Jimmy Eat World, which was awesome because I've been a fan of the band forever and they're great dudes. And that was a really good job. And then I was like, maybe I do need to settle down with my wife and start a family. And so I ended up getting some terrible corporate gig selling expensive suits to wealthy people. And it was like one of the worst years of my life. It was just super depressing and difficult on many levels. And I quit that and then got back on the road with Weezer, teching for Pat and Scott, which was great and terrifying because they're a huge band and it's a lot of work. But that was cool, doing the baseball podcast. And then I had 2 kids. So
Wow.
I was busy.
I love how you bury the lead there.
I'm
Like,
still
and I had
busy.
2 kids.
Yeah.
By the way, I started a family.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I never realized how big of a baseball fan you were until I heard about your podcast. And are you still doing the baseball grindcore thing? What is it?
Puig
Puig Destroyer?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I love that.
We that band is a joke band that came about as a result of the podcast.
Okay.
My co-host and I were just joking. It was when Puig had been called up and was just like lighting the world on fire.
Yeah.
And we're both fans of the grindcore band Pig
Destroyer,
Destroyer.
yeah.
And I was like, dude, somebody should start a band called Puig Destroyer. And like we finished the episode and we're like chatting afterwards and he's like, dude, we should start that band.
Absolutely.
And I was like, okay, cool. And like a couple days later, I had like bass lines that he sent me. And then I programmed some drums over the top of it. And then we got his friend to play guitar on it. And I got my friend to sing on it. And in like 3 weeks, I think it was being mentioned on ESPN,
Yeah.
MLB TV. Yasiel Puig heard it in the MLB fan cave.
Really? Did he approve?
He said he's very good. But it blew up and it was crazy because it was a total joke and we didn't like have a publicist, no PR, nothing. It was just like a testament to how crazy the internet is.
Yeah.
Like if something catches fire, it catches fire.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did that. And then that has since turned into a side project that I'm doing with the same guys from Puig Destroyer and my brother, and it's called Less Art. And we have a record coming out July 28th. Should be premiering another song next week. But it's fun. It's like same dudes, super heavy, super angry, but a little more reasonable musically.
Yeah.
And it's not all about baseball. It's about like heavier stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, I love, the baseball. It's probably the only grindcore album that I could get my dad to listen to.
Right.
Because he would get the references.
Right,
That's That's crazy though.
Yeah.
And you and your brother have been playing together for forever, right? Like,
Yeah. I mean,
that's awesome.
he learned bass to be in this band. Like
Really?
he started playing bass to be in this band. I was in some crappy punk bands in high school and then sang for a band for a little while when I was in college. And Ed and Tepe were friends through skateboarding, and Tepe went to school with Dustin, and they started talking about starting a band. And my brother was like, "Oh, my brother used to play drums in a punk band, and I'm sure he'd jam with us." And I jammed with him, and nothing changed.
So he brought you into the band.
Yeah. 20 years later, almost. I'm still
Still
here.
here.
Same 4 dudes. Yeah.
That's something that's really amazing, because as much as you guys have toured and, you know, put music out, like, it's hard to be with the same 4 people for so long, you know?
Yeah. We've definitely gone through some ups and downs. But it's like any relationship. Like, you learn how to communicate better. You learn to appreciate certain nuances about people's personalities and habits. You learn how to deal with some of the ones that you might not like as much.
Yeah.
But it's a relationship. These dudes are family to me. Like, I care about them. I care about my brother,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
literally
Eddie's
like
literally
a brother,
family,
because
right?
he is my brother. But the other 2 guys are like brothers to me, and their families are really important to me too. So it's awesome.
Yeah, and that's super cool. I think that's what's interesting now is, I mean, you start this band 20 years ago when you guys are scrappy punks. Now
Right.
you're mature and
Yeah.
you know, you have families and stuff. And how is the touring life different now than it was 20 years ago?
Oh wow.
It's a loaded question, I know.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, when we were younger and unmarried, and it was fun. It was just like vacation. Not to say that it's not fun now, because it's awesome. It's super fun. But Tepe and Dustin started having kids before I did. And I saw how rough that was on them, like being away from their families and being away from their kids, and leaving your wife at home with 1, 2, 3 kids. It's tough on the wife.
Yeah.
And you end up missing the crap out of your kids. So I saw them do that, and like, I thought that I understood how tough it was. And then I had my kids and started touring, and it hit me in a whole different way. And it's tough, man.
I can imagine.
But it's, I'm extremely lucky to be able to do this and provide for my family. So, you take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
But when your job is playing drums and hanging out with your friends on the road, that's not a bad
It
job.
could be worse. You could be selling expensive suits again.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, being gone for a month is tough, but all my friends are like dads that work 9 to 5 jobs, and they're gone from essentially 7 to 7 every day. They come home exhausted, make dinner for the kids, hang out for like 2 hours, and then they fall asleep.
Yeah.
And for me, like, we get done with this tour and I'm home for 4 months or 3 months. It's like,
So that's cool.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Do any of your kids play baseball?
no, they're too young. My son is 22 months. He loves baseball, though. We watch it on TV, and we got a little tea set up in the living room.
Great,
And stuff.
yeah.
And then my daughter's 8 weeks, so all she really does is poop, eat, and sleep. So
So not
baseball's not in the equation yet.
I
Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah. But you wanted to be a ball player, right? At least that's what I heard.
I did, yeah. I grew up playing ball. Played from when I was 5 years old to my junior year of college.
Oh, right on.
And then I think like about 10 years ago, I started playing in like a fairly competitive men's league back home, play on Sundays during the spring and summer.
Yeah.
And I love the game. Some of my earliest memories are watching baseball with my dad.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel
so-
like everybody that loves baseball now, because I always hear from friends that are like, "Oh, baseball's too slow" or whatever. It's like
Right.
you have to have it instilled in you
Totally.
from a young age.
Yeah. I think my dad wanted that to be a thing. Like,
Yeah.
he was just like, pick me up, put me in front of the TV, and like, here we go, kid. We're going to watch this. I'm going to explain it to you. I'm going to take you to games. And it's great. I love the sport. I still follow it like obsessively.
Yeah. Are you an Orioles fan? I see you wearing the O's hat now.
I am but only because I'm friends with Mark Trumbo.
Oh, yeah.
When he was with the Angels, actually met him through Twitter. He used to tweet out like his pregame playlist, like what he was listening to get psyched. And I noticed that we had a lot of the same tastes. So I was like, I think it was like right around the time that we put out Major Minor. And I was like, oh, we just made a record. Like, I'd love to get you a copy if you're interested. And he hit me back and was like, hell yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah.
So he checked it out. He invited me to BP and to a game. And we met, we started chatting, and realized we have a lot of similar interests. And since then, we've become really good friends. We talk all the time.
That's dope.
And then, I pick his brain about baseball. I wanted to be a baseball player growing up. And he picks my brain about music because I think he really wanted to be a musician. So.
Oh, yeah.
And he is a musician. He's a great guitar player.
That's awesome.
And we've jammed a few times.
That's really
when
cool.
he's off the road.
All right, I won't give you any crap for that because there are division rivals.
Right. Yeah, so I follow him and root for him, and then have really taken a liking to the Orioles just because they hit a lot of bombs.
Yeah, they definitely do, especially this season.
Yeah.
Actually, not to get super nerdy on baseball, but I was on the way over here. I read an article about how the league is on pace to have hit more home runs like total across the league than any other year in history.
I guess the balls are juiced.
Yeah, you think so?
No, Ben Lindbergh from The Ringer just put out an article last week, I think, that was saying that they did some studies and they're realizing that the composition of the ball is like different than it's been in previous years.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man. See, and I went heavy on pitchers in my fantasy baseball draft, and now I'm like,
bad move.
What did I do?
Yeah.
What did I do? But I got Aaron Judge off the waiver wire, so my team's looking good for the future. It's a keeper league. So
that's like the like sleeper pickup of the year.
Absolutely.
Like nobody thought. Did you get him for $0?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody else who was like, yeah, I got him for nothing.
Yeah, and it was because the Yankees played the Rays like the first weekend of the season, and he destroyed us. Like, I think he hit, like, there was one game he hit 2 home runs or 3 home runs, whatever, and I was like, man, I got to get this guy. Like, he's going to be a stud. And
he's a monster. He's a monster. He's like an actual monster. He's huge.
So, just curious, have you been following anything that's going on with the Rays at all? It's not a team that everybody keeps an eye on.
No, I don't follow them super closely. I did meet Pete Borges through Trumbo when he was with the Angels. So I kind of keep tabs on him. He's an awesome dude, and I know he doesn't get a ton of playing time.
Yeah.
But he's a good dude and a solid guy to have on your team. So I keep an eye on him, but outside of that, might tune into a couple of Chris Archer starts, but that's it.
Yeah, it's interesting times for the Rays.
Yeah.
This is like this area here, the fairgrounds is like one of the locations they're maybe looking at for moving a stadium. One of many, because it seems like nobody has a clear plan for where the new stadium should go.
Yeah. I've heard bad things about that stadium.
Yeah.
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 It's just not the best place to watch a game, I guess.
Trop sucks.
Yeah.
Trop's the fucking worst.
Well, it's not even like the stadium's okay, I guess, but it's getting there. That's the problem, especially when you live on this side of the bay, you know, because you're talking game starts at 7:00. You get off work at 5 or whatever, and you know, you're in rush hour traffic on a bridge. You know, it's
a 2-hour drive
at least.
That's brutal.
Yeah, to see your own team in another city's downtown.
Yeah,
that's horseshit.
Yeah, it really is. But you know, when the Rays came, like that stadium was already built. You know, and Tampa didn't have a stadium ready for the team, so they moved in there, signed way too long of a lease, and then now years later they're stuck.
Yeah,
but.
That sucks.
But yeah, you know, what are you going to do? So I could talk about baseball all day, but we should probably, I'm sure the listeners are like, oh, let's go back to Thrice. So we did, like I said, we did get a lot of listener questions.
Okay.
So I'll throw some of them at you, see what you think. So Chad from St. Pete wants to know if you're looking to venture into the heavier / faster and more experimental parts of the band on the next record.
I would say heavier, yes. We're always trying to get heavier. Experimental, yes. We're always trying to get a little bit more experimental. Just trying new things. Faster, maybe in some aspects. I mean, I don't think we're ever going to write a record that's just like everything is 200 BPM, like fast as hell.
Yeah, you're not going to do another Puig Destroyer Thrice.
No.
Record, you know?
But I think, I mean, song tempos are always something that we spend a lot of time messing with when we're writing, just to make sure things don't lack energy. So I think we're trying to find a good balance between like stuff that still has like some element of groove and still has energy. And I think that's like an ongoing quest. Like there's no way to really perfect that all that well.
Yeah,
but
'cause you don't really know it till you hear it.
right.
It's there, you know?
Yeah, we're so yeah, I wouldn't say faster overall, but yeah, heavier for sure. Always trying to get heavier.
He also wants to know if you have any plans to press Alchemy Index again on vinyl, I'm assuming.
Yes, we do. And I think we will be announcing something of that sort fairly soon. I can't say when, but
All right, keep an eye out for that, Chad. There you
Yeah.
go. Chris from Clearwater wants to know if you're jamming to any new tunes on tour.
oh yeah, a lot. So I mentioned earlier that I'm trying to run to stay in shape on tour, and every time I'm gonna have to cheat on this. I gotta pull out my phone, but every time I go on a run, I try to check out something new, and then I'll post something on Instagram, like talking about that new thing that I just listened to, and it's actually become a cool way to share new music with people, and people get exposed to stuff that they might not normally get exposed to. But
Yeah. So what have you been listening to?
normally it's on the heavier side of stuff. Let's see, what do I got here? Recently, I checked out the new 100th record and liked it a lot.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a band called Elder from Boston that does like this crazy progressive metal stuff, and it's kind of stony and psychedelic, and their songs are like 15 minutes long, which sounds like a terrible listen, but they write some amazing guitar parts. So
Could be
they're-
perfect for a run, maybe.
Yeah, they're awesome. There's a band called Employed to Serve from the UK that plays like obscenely heavy, kind of semi-metallic hardcore. I really like that. Let's see what else. The new Mutoid Man record is sick. I really like that. Band called Brutus from Belgium. They're on Sargent House Records. It's like female drummer who sings, and it's kind of this rad take on kind of punk inspired hardcore.
That sounds amazing.
yeah.
Sounds right up my alley.
It's awesome. The new Life and Times record.
I see Kendrick Lamar on there
Yeah,
too.
Kendrick Lamar. Yeah. Kendrick Lamar is like a heavy rotation for me when I need a break from the heavy stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
New Royal Blood record I listened to the
That's
other
a
day.
great
It's
one.
pretty sick.
Yeah.
Those guys write some rad riffs too. And then yesterday I went for a run in Charleston, South Carolina. Got rained on, but I was listening to the new Portugal the Man, which
Nice.
is also super fun. I had never really like listened to them very much
Oh,
before,
really?
and I was impressed by that record. Yeah.
Kent from Tampa, our good buddy Kent, wants to know, what did you actually want the band name to be? Because he heard that it started as an
Oh.
inside joke, and
I don't know. We didn't really have any good ideas, which is why we probably settled on Thrice.
I mean, but now you're
super.
stuck,
It's
obviously.
yeah, it's super hard. I mean, it was hard to come up with a band name in '98 when we started. Like, I feel awful for bands that are starting now. It's just
it's like every band name's
they're all taken.
Yeah.
like even all the verb the noun bands are taken.
Right,
Like,
now you got to be Puig Destroyer or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
There's an idea, verb the noun.
Verb
Yeah.
down. Hey,
Yeah.
some band, make that band camp right now.
yeah.
All right, a couple more listener questions. Amanda from San Francisco wants to know, when will you give the people what they want? A dessert food truck called Thrice Pudding.
There's another band name, by the way.
Yeah.
Thrice Pudding.
I don't know. That would be a fun project.
It'd be the greatest Thrice cover band ever, I think.
Yeah.
Thrice Pudding.
Mark Trombino, who plays drums in Drive Like Jehu, and was a producer who did like a bunch of awesome records like Jimmy Eat World stuff. He owned a donut shop, or he owns a donut shop in LA, and all the donuts are like named after a band. We were trying to get him to do some Thrice inspired something.
Got to be some kind of rice pudding dish, I guess, now. And last question, William from Orlando, asking the important questions here. Boxers or briefs or au natural?
I used to be a briefs guy. Now I wear like a compression short kind of thing. Another thing I did during the hiatus was worked for an athletic apparel startup that ended up folding. But one of the perks of them folding and not having a job anymore was they're like, yeah, you could take whatever you want.
So you took all the underwear?
I was just like, whoosh, tons of underwear, tons of running shorts, running
you
shirts.
always need them. So,
Hoodies, windbreakers, all kinds of stuff. It was rad.
That is rad.
But not having a job was not rad. It was like a severance package, but it was clothing. It's just like, here.
And then you probably couldn't sell the clothing anyways if you tried.
No,
so what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what our listeners desperately wanted to know.
Awesome.
You know, we have a very highbrow bunch.
Yeah.
Awesome. So any final thoughts for listeners, the Tampa fans?
Thank you to everybody who's stuck around with us or who's just discovered us and is into the band. It's awesome to be doing this again and have the level of support that we have. And we're happy to be back in Tampa today, despite the weather. And we'll definitely be back. We have a really cool tour planned for the fall that I can't announce yet, but we're extremely excited about it. And I think a lot of our fans will be really excited about it too. So keep your eyes peeled for that.
Yeah, teasers.
Yeah.
All day. All right. Well, hopefully the Rays finish better than the Orioles, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. I think it's the Yankees or Red Sox division to lose.
I don't even know what's going on in that division anymore, to be honest.
It's a mess.
It is a mess.
Yeah.
All right. Well, where can people find you on Twitter? Because I know you got a pretty active Twitter account.
Twitter, Riley Breck. Instagram, Riley Breck. And then if anybody's interested in that baseball deal, we're not doing podcasts right now because scheduling is insane.
You're on the road, man.
Yeah. But we still tweet pretty actively.
And now the queen of hearts is dead. I didn't know just how I felt until the dark eyes were on me, and I knew just what was meant to be.
The band started in 1998, right? So we're coming on almost 20 years of Thrice.
Hey, Randy, why don't you tell everybody why they should like the fruit and the flowers? Forward 1-800-ASK-GARY, Live Nation, Mid-Florida Credit Union Amphitheater.